Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the One Podcast, where we go beyond the conference. I am Koen and I am again very happy to be your host for this podcast series. And the theme for today is law and policy. And with us today for law and policy we have Laima Jančiūtė, a postdoctoral researcher of the University of Amsterdam, and you have been working on governance of post-quantum cryptography in the EU regarding EU legislation. First of all, cryptography is always a tongue twister for me, so I'm just going to call it crypto from now on, if that's all right with everyone. So, Laima, welcome.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, and thanks for having me here in this podcast. So I have a background as a policy researcher in privacy, data protection, and information and communication technologies. And I currently work for a project at the University of Amsterdam called Quantum Impact on Societal Security, which is a NWO funded project, and which focuses on ethical, legal and societal aspects of quantum safe transition. And it also strives to map the quantum safe ecosystem in the Netherlands.
Okay, so there is a lot of urgency felt among the community about the post-quantum crypto transition. But it's usually the urgency is felt by the more technical people. But you're focusing more on the governance side of things. So that was what your talk at the One Conference was about. Can you give us just a short overview of what your talk was about?
Yes, the policy domain is obviously very important to get this transition, to make this transition happen. And in my talk, I aimed to look into various aspects, various streams of the governance of this transition in the EU. So it is important to mention first that the EU has been long funding the research into the development of PQC solutions, but it has recently also started to fund various initiatives that aim at the actual transition, at the implementation of the actual transition. And this funding has intensified last year, and there are various ongoing calls this year as well, and some other calls foreseen for 2027. And on that note, we should also recall that there is really a scientific excellence in Europe in the field of cryptographic research, and European researchers have been involved in the development of the winner solutions in the US National Institute for Standards and Technology competition for selection of the schemes for standardization, including the latest algorithm HQC. So it is also important to note that there is quite a sound legal framework that is relevant to the PQC transition in Europe, and there is a number of legal acts that require implementation of state-of-the-art solutions, like we can mention the GDPR, the e-privacy directive, the Cyber Resilience Act, the EIDAS regulation, the Digital Operational Resilience Act, and the Network and Information Systems Directive 2. So it is also important to mention that there have been a lot of prominent initiatives at the national level, including in the countries such as the Netherlands, Germany, France, Spain, Czechia, and Italy. And in 2024, PQC policy has been finally articulated also at the EU level with the issuance of the EU Commission recommendation on the development of the PQC transition roadmap. And after that, the member states started their work on that document, and in June this year, they released a document in which this roadmap has started taking shape. So there have been also a lot of other EU actors and institutions that have provided input into this process, and the importance of the PQC transition has been mentioned also in various other policy documents at the EU level. But at the moment, as based on the data released by the European Cybersecurity Agency, NISA, on investments in PQC in Europe, we can see that this transition is not very advanced, and only 4% of the operators of critical sectors have so far invested in these measures, and so a lot of work still needs to be done.
So there's a lot happening on the EU level.
Yes.
Can we talk a little bit more about this roadmap you mentioned? So the PQC roadmap coming from the EU, why was it necessary to have a roadmap?
Yes, so that first of all, so that we have a clearly articulated course towards quantum safety, and so that these efforts be coordinated and synchronized across the EU, across various member states.
And who is this roadmap for? Who can actually use it or benefit from this?
Yes, so it is primarily dedicated for the public sector and the critical infrastructure. But of course, because of the interconnectedness of the digital system and many actors and stakeholders involved, including vendors, service providers, so this roadmap is also relevant for a wider range of stakeholders.
Okay. Regarding the development of quantum computers, some people think it will be here in 5 years. Some people say 10 years, or some people will say it will always be 10 years ahead, at whatever point you're looking at it. But what kind of a timeline is this roadmap counting on?
Yes, so the EU roadmap has set the following deadlines. So by 2026, it has set a timeline to finalize the initial planning for all the member states to have their transition plans in place. By 2030, to finalize the PQC transition in high-risk use cases. And by 2035, to transition medium risk use cases and as much of low risk use cases as possible. And these timelines are largely consistent with the timelines set in other jurisdictions, because it is largely internationally foreseen the transition, the migration of critical infrastructure by 2030, and then all the rest by 2035.
Okay, so member states do need to have their plan finalized next year already. So 2026,
Yes.
it is actually, well, it's going to be 2026 in just 3 months from now. But
By the end of 2026.
by the end of the
Yes.
you have a year and 3 months for your plans, and then up to 2030 for the critical assets to
Yes.
have done the transitions. So what do those organizations, especially in critical infrastructure, so the high risk targets, what do they need to do?
Yes, so they first of all need to do the so-called cryptographic inventory to examine what kind of cryptography is used and for which purposes, and to examine their dependencies and then to develop the actual transition plan and the rollout, and then start monitoring it afterwards.
So the American Institute for Standards, the NIST, they have issued those new standards, which are post-quantum capable algorithms. Is it just a matter of just flicking the switch, just selecting from a Dropbox, I want to use this algorithm now, and we're done? Or is it more complicated?
Well, I can, as a policy researcher, I perhaps cannot answer this question in more detail, but
Maybe not the technical side of it, but,
yes, but
what's the policy side of
but the policy side, obviously, that there is this likelihood of other post PQC quantum safe schemes emerging in the future. So the idea is for organizations to be capable to easily upgrade, update, and change their cryptographic solutions, and that is what is called quantum crypto agility. That's what they are expected to develop to be able to smoothly move towards quantum safe.
Okay, and even if those present-day algorithms turn out to be insufficient,
Yes.
when you have quantum or crypto agility,
Yes.
then you'll be able to transition further to more resilient algorithms. Right. So you also mentioned in the beginning all kinds of EU legislation, GDPR, the NIST directive, EIDAS. How does this roadmap and all the legislation tie into each other?
So it actually this roadmap actually operationalizes the requirements that are present in those laws. It puts into practice the idea of state-of-the-art security measures and state-of-the-art cryptography, namely.
Okay, so the actual laws do not say what you have to do exactly. They just say use state-of-the-art measures, and the roadmap more mentions what it actually means for an organization to be state-of-the-art.
Yes, exactly. But there are also various policy documents, various guidelines that mention explicitly quantum readiness and quantum safe measures that are expected in this context of state-of-the-art security frameworks. And also there has been issued guidelines now recently in 2025 by the SOGIS group, the expert group that sets cryptographic requirements in the context of the EU cybersecurity certification scheme. And this latest guidance includes PQC. And also a number of national cybersecurity agencies have also already included PQC in their cryptographic recommendations.
Okay, so there are several publications from public and private organizations that go even more in depth than the
Yes.
EU roadmap. So what can we actually learn from those existing publications, so we don't have to reinvent the wheel?
Exactly. I think that if any EU countries have to catch up, so they can already build on the existing expertise in other member states. And we can see that also a broader context is quite important, because some EU national cybersecurity agencies, such as, for instance, the French ANSSI, apart from producing cryptographic guidelines, also has produced some market surveys measuring the quantum readiness and the future trajectories. And also we can mention the German BSI, which, apart again from various PQC-focused recommendations, also is looking into the development of quantum computers and constantly updating its study on that, and has also conducted one survey together with one consultancy again, trying to understand what is going on among the operators. And for instance, very recently also the Czech cybersecurity agency, apart from updating and upgrading its cryptographic guideline, also has dedicated a separate annex, a 40-page long annex, focusing on quantum threat and post-quantum cryptography. So that points to the salience of the issue, and also to how we can raise awareness and assist companies with transitioning to these solutions.
Yeah. So those are a lot of individual efforts in all kinds of member states. But
Yes.
Is there any cohesion to all these efforts?
So I think this the cohesion effort is now happening in this within the context of implementation of the Commission's 2024 recommendation and the subsequently created expert group that has been working now on the EU PQC transition roadmap. We can see that cohesion.
Okay. Aside from all the policy and legislation coming, can I ask you, as a policy researcher,
Yes.
what would be your personal opinion as to how things are going and how we should move forward about this?
So I think that at the moment there's a tangible effort from the member states to really implement the PQC rollout as far as the expert group that is working on it is concerned. And I know that some national governments are really already started to prepare their national transition plans. So I think that there is indeed a lot of effort and resolve from the competent institutions at the national level.
Okay, and would you say you have faith in the next 10 years? Do you expect a lot of PQC compliance, if we can call it that way, by 2035, or even the medium risk and maybe some low risk objects or organizations?
I think that for a wide PQC compliance, we still need to set a bit clearer and more explicit regulatory requirements. We do have broad norms in the legal acts requiring state-of-the-art security measures, and that implies the rollout of PQC solutions. But I think we still need a stronger and more explicit message and regulatory message, and to state it more clearly that now post-quantum cryptography is the actual cybersecurity standard that is expected to be in place.
Yes. So actually, the existing crypto standards are just not sufficient anymore for the long term, and you believe we
Yes.
should actually focus more on the message that the PQC algorithms are the way forward, starting now already.
Yes, exactly, because we need to start doing it now, because cryptographic migration takes long time, and because of the threat of so-called harvest now, decrypt later attacks, when data can be captured now, stored, and in the hope to decrypt it later in the future. And since various information, various data has long-term sensitivity, such as in the financial sector, for instance, or when we talk about state secrets, so it can cause a lot of damage, even if it's if somebody gets access to it in 15 or 20 years.
Yes, it's the offenders capture now, decrypt later strategy, of course.
Yes.
Yes. Suppose there are all kinds of people listening in right now and feeling the urgency. Okay, I need to do something. How would you recommend they start their approach, and where can they find their information to get going?
Yeah, so I think that a lot of information is and a lot of assistance and guidance is already available, and so obviously the first point of contact is national cybersecurity authorities. There have been also various alliances forming, also sectoral and in general. There have been various roadmaps released, so there is really a lot of information out there.
There is a lot of information out there,
Yes.
and in case in the Netherlands, my colleagues at the National Cybersecurity Center are, of course,
Yes.
Always happy to help.
Yes, and the Netherlands can really boast of having this wonderful resource for PQC migration, which has become a widely internationally acclaimed reference, the so-called PQC migration handbook.
Excellent. So be sure to find that handbook if you mean to get going. So as we'd like to wrap up, are there any final thoughts or key insights you would like to give to our audience?
Yeah, so I think I would like to reiterate that what we really need at the moment to stimulate this transition is to make the regulatory message more streamlined and more explicit, and also to continue putting efforts in raising awareness and invoking the sense of necessity and urgency among various stakeholders.
Okay, so I would like to add or also state that urgency is of the matter. You have to start now if you want to get going, because before you know it's too late, and the quantum computer is coming.
Yes.
We don't know when exactly, but it is, and you better be prepared.
Exactly. And there is also in the policy making, there's also this notion of precautionary principle, because in some areas sometimes we cannot be exactly sure about whether certain hazards would materialize or not, but we cannot afford a false negative, which means that if we decide that the inferred hazard is irrelevant, but then it does materialize, and it may have some disastrous consequences. So I think it's the similar cases with the quantum threat, and we need to treat the quantum safe measures with this precautionary logic.
Exactly. So, you heard her, get going. And if you want to know more, find all the information we've been talking about, but also about the talk that Laima gave at the One Conference. It's on the website one-conference.nl, a summary of the talk and the slides that go with it. So thank you, Laima, for being with us.
Thanks once again for having me.
Yes, and next week we are going to look at crisis management with Joost de Jong from the University of Eindhoven, who have had a major breach last year. So stay tuned. That's coming next week. And you can follow us on any podcast platform, wherever you find them, and follow us on LinkedIn, where we also place a message when the next episode comes online. So we will see you next week.